Welcome back to Let's Talk Nudy. My name is Denise Coy, your host, and I want to keep the conversation going on manifesting. So today I want to talk about energy and how to align your energy with your manifestation that you want to create in your life. Okay? So energy is everything. Our whole universe, our whole world, our bodies, our minds, everything is created through energy. And there's many different things to talk about energy, and we're not going to talk about all of them today. We're going to figure out how we can take advantage of the energetic power that we have to create the life that we want to create. Now, yesterday we talked about 3 concepts where you align your thoughts, your belief system, and your actions to whatever you want to create. And all those 3 things are one of the most important things to focus on when you are trying to manifest something in your life. And that all comes down to bringing your energy in alignment with your manifestation. So all of those 3 things help you get your energy to that level. Okay, so basically, your energy is your currency. And think about it like money, right? So you have money and you want to buy something, and you can use that money to buy whatever you want to buy. It's the same thing with energy. If you work very hard on aligning your energy to where you want to be or who you want to become, that becomes your currency. You get to this level of a state of mind, level of action taking, a level of belief systems that become your currency as to what do I want to create now? You are creating currency. So yes, energy is your currency. It's the way that you can create things in your life. Now, the way to get your energy up and aligned with whatever you want to create or whoever you want to become, it's all about the 3 concepts we talked about in my previous video about beliefs, about thoughts, and about actions. But really, this energy comes from the frequency and the consistency you take in your life to take those actions, to align that belief system, to align your thought pattern. It's all about the habits that you create in your life that become very consistent and very frequent in your life that'll help you align your energy to whatever the result that you want to create. I'll tell you a little story about a way that I aligned my energy to what I wanted to create at one point. So when I graduated from law school, I started working for this firm, and I was just so excited to go from making $0 a month to making, whatever I was making. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I was getting checks for my hard work. It was a completely new concept. Of course, I've worked previous jobs before, but it was another level of, it wasn't like that much money. It was just so much of a difference to me. And I was so excited to move out of my parents' house, because at the time I was living with my parents, and start my life. And I wanted to go and move to the city. I wanted to move to Brickell or like anywhere in Miami that was like a very city vibe. My law firm was in Coral Gables, so it's pretty centered to a lot of places in Miami. So I was like, okay, maybe I can move. I have options to move different places. Long story short, I ended up moving with my sister to Brickell. And it was an incredible experience. I loved it so much. I loved our apartment. I felt like I was living that gossip girl life and going out and being with my friends and just like really like living the high life, even though I was making like crazy money, but I felt like I was living the high life and I loved it. It was really fun. But then for some reason, it just didn't feel like me. And I feel like I wanted something more substantial. I wanted to really align with who I was. I felt like I worked so hard to get to that goal, but I realized that goal wasn't really the end point for me. I didn't want to live that city life and that fast life for so long. I wanted to be more grounded. I wanted to really work on my internal happiness and find balance between my personal life and professional life, which I didn't have at the time. I was working like crazy and I was going out like crazy. It was a lot, and it was a lot of my body. I wasn't emotionally happy. I had a stomach virus, and it was just a lot. So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I realized I needed to get my energy aligned with what I wanted to create in my life. I sat down and I made a list of the things that I wanted in my life. I wanted stability. I didn't feel stable. Like that life is not sustainable in the long run. Maybe for some people, it just wasn't for me. So I wanted stability. And when it came to that, it was like a stable place with balance, health. I could eat, I can rest, I can, start working out as much as I wanted to. I didn't want to be going out so much. I wanted to really focus on my emotional being and who I was, and reading my books and working. I wanted to create a consistent life with who I wanted to become. And I didn't know how to do that because I was living this crazy fast life, and it was just so overwhelming. I didn't know what to do. And mind you, I did something that a lot of people may not be capable of doing, may not have the opportunity to do something like this for several reasons. So you got to find different ways to get there. But what I did was, even though I was paying rent for this really expensive apartment in Brickell, I end up moving back with my parents. And why I say that maybe not a lot of people are have this opportunity to do this is because for me, my parents' house was always a healing area. It was a healing place in my life that I'm really grateful that I have. And it allowed me to kind of step back and kind of reflect on the life that I wanted to create next, and what kind of consistent and balanced life I wanted to create. And I thought moving back with my parents, which was only about 30 minutes from where I was living, and they lived, more in the suburban world, and they did nothing in their weekends. Like, people there just don't do much, right? And that's what I needed. I was like, I need to go and just read my books, just work, and obviously work out and move my body. But I just wanted to get out of the fast life. And at that point, I knew that my job was very toxic. It was just demanding a lot from me. So I wanted to find another opportunity. So I moved back. It didn't make sense for anybody, because it was like, how are you going to pay rent here while you're living with your parents? And all this, it just didn't make any sense. But it made sense to me emotionally. Like, rationally, logically, it didn't make any sense. But emotionally, I was like, this is definitely something that I need to do. And I went and I lived with them for about 6 months. And I read a lot of books. I read Untamed by Glennon Doyle, and it changed my world. It made me face so many emotional blockages that I didn't know I had. And, if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. I feel like every woman needs to read this book at one point in their lives. I just feel like it helps release so much. But anyways, I was reading all these books. That was the main book that I was reading. But I was reading all these books, and I was just like really enjoying doing mostly nothing every day. I started working for this law firm that didn't require so much of my time. I took a huge pay cut, but I didn't care. I knew this firm I felt like I was going to be, in a family environment. I felt like everybody cared about each other. And that's what they were offering. It was like a very culture-based law firm, but they couldn't pay me what the other law firm was paying me. And I was like, I don't really care right now. I just want to be able to feel some stability emotionally. And so when I took back those 6 months, it was an action that I took to align my energy to a more stable life for me, for the person that I wanted to become, the person that I am. It doesn't mean that previous life is not the right one or whatever. It just wasn't it for me at the time. It wasn't the goal that I wanted to reach, and I didn't see it being something that's long term. But anyways, those 6 months were the most healing 6 months that I had in such a long time. And it was because I stepped back. I took a step back, and all I did was go in, and I internally just healed so much emotionally. I released what I needed to release in order to figure out what was the next step of my life. And I felt so much peace at that time. I felt so much peace. And when I first left that first law firm that was a little bit toxic, I knew that I wanted to create something for myself, and I knew that I wanted to do something with my family. So we created something together. It was a company, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I didn't know where it was going to take us, but I was like, let's just do this. So we started it, and I was doing this maybe 10 hours a week. And I was like working at the law firm, but I wasn't rushing to get anywhere. I finally felt like present in my moment. I aligned my energy to what I wanted in my life. And making that decision to move back with my parents was one of the best decision that I ever took after I graduated law school, because instead of going after the quota or of the more you make and the more you work and the more success you have and this and like all of these things that people tell you this is the right thing to want in your life, I finally took a step back and I said, hey, how about I figure out what I want? I never asked myself that. Not after law school. I never asked myself that. Someone always was telling me what kind of lawyer I needed to be, what kind of lifestyle I needed to have. And that was the first time that I was like, what kind of lawyer do I want to be? What kind of career do I want to create? And it was a beautiful time because I had the luxury of taking that time, and I created this company, and it was incredible. And now my dad runs the company as well. And it's something that we have together, and it's just so beautiful. But overall, it took me to recognize that I needed to ask myself what I really wanted in order to keep that consistency and frequency in my life, in order to create that. So it's really important to align with the energy that you want, because once you start aligning with that energy, being consistent will become easy. It's hard to do something that you don't want to do every single day, or that it doesn't have that passion behind, or something that makes your heart sing. And you're doing it every single day, and something that's really hard. It's just really hard. Okay? It's so much easier to do something very hard, or something that might take a lot of effort on your end, and do it every single day, but knowing that it's because it's so aligned to what you want. It's so aligned to the kind of life that you want to create. And that is the way to really figure out yourself and finding out exactly what aligns with your energetic being, with your life, your personality, your values. It's sometimes something that you need to take a step back for, and kind of ask yourself, what can I do every single day? What can be so consistent in my life that will compound every single day and bring me and create and help me create this life that I want to create? That's what you need to ask yourself. Now, a lot of people think that manifesting is not real, or just it's not for them, or whatever it is. But being consistent with your actions to get to somewhere, to get to your goal, is the physical form of manifestation. And that's why the third most important factor in manifesting is action, is taking the steps that you need to take every single day that will move towards the person that you want to become, or the life that you want to create. It's that consistency. And the only way to be as consistent as possible is to align your energy with who you are. Align your goals to who you really are. What are your values? What is your belief system that you want to have? Or who do you want to become? For so long, I thought I needed to follow the status quo. And then only 6 months in my career is when I realized, holy shit, this is not what I want. So let me go and take a step back and figure out what is it that I want. And I've been in this career for at least 5 years now, and I found my consistency. I found my balance in my life. I found the lifestyle that aligned with my values and who I want to become and who I want to be and what is the life that I want to create. I think it all comes down to aligning your thought patterns, aligning your energy through those steps that I previously talked about in my previous video, and staying consistent with them. That is the physical form of manifestation. All right, that's all I have for you. Love you guys. Mwah.